Hello, my name is Sahil Malik. I'm a trainer and consultant and I love Angular. I deliver trainings on Angular regularly and you can find my email address right here. Here's another video making yet another Angular concept easy and simple to understand. As always, I look forward to your feedback. Thank you for watching. When it comes to learning Angular, and frankly any of these modern technologies, a modern dev, one of the concepts you need to get familiarized with is NPM, Node Package Manager, Node-based development, etc. So let's first start by getting some basic understanding of that. Okay, so what is Node.js? The Chrome or Chromium's JavaScript engine is pretty good. So a few really smart people thought that why is it tied just to a browser? Why can't we just turn it into a basic execution engine, give it some power like ability to load a file, DNS, domain, make a network call, etc. And then this engine on itself we can start writing some useful programs on. So obviously that technique has gotten very popular. And obviously you want to add more functionality into it. So you can add more functionality using node packages. So there is this concept of a node package, which is some reusable code that you have that you want to share with your team or with the rest of the world, or perhaps there's some useful code that you want to use that somebody else has written, but it runs on Node.js. So this is pretty cool. Now we have a way of sharing cross-platform code because JavaScript is cross-platform. And then they've expanded upon this, and it has the ability to call native code also. So it is possible for you to publish a Node package that is cross-platform, but depending upon what platform you're installing it on, you may get different binaries, or may use different binaries. It's actually very cool. So how do you install Node? You go to nodejs.org. There's two clear buttons there. You install the LTS version for regular dev. If you're an advanced user, go with the leading bleeding edge. And then once you've installed it, you type node -- version, and it should tell you what version you're running on. So the version I'll be using right now is somewhere around 6.9, but it updates every few months and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned, one of the things is that when you install this Node Package Manager, you will also get NPM, Node Package Manager. So you've installed Node.js and it comes with NPM, but NPM updates a lot more often. And NPM is nothing but a Node module, which allows you to share or consume other modules. So the first thing you do when you install Node is you update NPM. So if you're on Mac, you say sudo npm install npmg, same for Linux. But if you're in Windows, right-click on as admin and npm install npm-g. -g stands for global. So these packages can be installed globally or they can be installed locally. So you've updated NPM or you've installed NPM. It'll come with NPM by doing install, you update it. But what is NPM and how do we use it? NPM stands for Node Package Manager. It is a node package that allows you to manage packages, either publish or consume. So let's say we got some reusable code that you think is pretty cool and the rest of the world should see, or at least the rest of your team should see. So you say npm publish some reusable code. Now, of course, there's some details there that some reusable code, you have to structure it in a particular manner. There's some best practices there. I'll talk about those in some other video. So you say npm publish some reusable code, and others who have access to that repo, and there is an open repo that everybody can access, the public repo, or you can create private repos, and you can say npm install some reusable code, and they would get that reusable code available in their projects. Pretty cool. So, what is that reusable code? Basically, you can think that there will be at least a package.json there, and one or more JavaScript files. Usually in index.js as is customary, but some node modules don't follow that standard, but mostly there'll be a file there called index.js, and there could be many files in there. But there's at least a package.json. And this package.json is the introduction for your module. So whether you're consuming a node module in a node-based project or you are creating a node module, and you want to introduce your Node module to the world, or you want to introduce your project to the world, you would use package.json. It's got a bunch of things in it. You will see this in a demo shortly. And the idea behind package.json is that it documents your Node module. Hey, what's the name of this project? And what are the dependencies? Hey, what other Node modules does it depend on? And which one of those does it depend only on dev time? And what's the version? Who's the author of it? Etc. 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 There's a whole bunch of things you can put in there, right? And that's package.json, and it's got some scripts in it, and then it points to a starter file in the case of a library like index.js. And that's your reusable code, right? So you can share this code with just your developers, your team, or rest of the world. I think enough slides. Let's see this in action. So let's go ahead and, right, here we go. So I'm going to go into an empty folder. So let's go here. And here, what I intend to do is that let's create a new project called new proj, right? And I'm going to go there and I will say, turn this into a node-based project. So I'm going to say NPM init. Now, if I said -- yes, it'll just, say yes to all the questions. So I don't have to yes, yes, yes on a bunch of questions, but I'll just go the regular way, NPM init, and it'll basically go ahead and initialize, this folder as a node-based project. But it's really just a package.json that it is creating. So I'll just go with the defaults, and at the end it'll say, hey, I'm going to write this package.json. Are you sure? I'm going to say yeah. Here we go. So you see there's a package.json in there. Okay, now that we have a package.json ready to go, now let's go ahead and add a node module that somebody else has written. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and open this package.json in Visual Studio Code on the right-hand side. Here we go, on the right-hand side. And I'm going to basically place these two side by side. And I'm going to say npm install. Now, there happens to be a library called Moment. And I want to be able to use it. I've heard good things about it, and it helps me manage dates, etc. So that's what I'm going to use. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to, actually let's expand this a little bit further. I just want to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to say npm install moment. I'm going to say -- save. Now, save would mean that go ahead and save it right here as a dependency. But if I say -- save dev, it'll install it just like before, but it'll mark it as a dev dependency. So let me show save first. So I'm going to say npm install moment save, and it goes online and it creates this folder here called node modules. That's basically where it has stored moment.js, as you see here. Some modules, when you install them, they'll install a bunch of other modules with them. So this node modules is like a sausage factory. We never look in there. You're not supposed to check this in either into source control. But basically, this is how you get, node module moment.js is ready for you to use. As I said, this is dependency. So the idea here is that, this is required for me when I run the project. But there is an alternate node here called dev dependencies, right? Dev dependencies is what I need during development time. So, and then there's peer dependencies, which is what I would say my library depends on these peer dependencies, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I've installed this, and now I should be able to create a new file here called index.js. And inside of index.js, I should be able to use moment.js. So I'm going to say, let's see. I'm going to say var moment is equal to require moment, okay? And then I'm going to say console.log, and let's go ahead and close that. And I'm going to say, let's make this a little bit smaller so we can see what we're doing. It was a console.log, and I'm going to say moment format. And then here I'm going to say, that's misplaced. Here I'm going to say, go ahead and use this date format. And, this is basically going to take today's date and go ahead and use that. And that should do it, right? So we have a very, simple line of code written over here. And if I wanted to run this now, I can just go back to my terminal, and I'm going to say node index.js, hit enter, and it writes out today's date and time. Fantastic. Now in package.json, you see that there is this node here called scripts. And what I can do is that I can create any number of scripts, but some of these are special names like start. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create a script called start, and I'll write exactly that same command here called node index.js. And from here, I can say npm start, and it will go ahead and execute exactly that same code, except now we are sort of treating this like a project, because you could have more script here. Now, of course, there are a lot more concepts here. How do I publish code? What are the best practices in creating a library? How do I turn this into a web-based application? How do I debug this? How do I ship this to customers? Am I supposed to send this node modules folder? The answer is no. And do I check this node modules folder into source control? The answer is no. So you create a git ignore file and you don't want to check this in. How does this work with TypeScript? How does it work with Angular? We'll see all of that and more in subsequent videos. Thanks for watching.